Aerial view of a U.S. military base in Vietnam, with soldiers preparing a large, cylindrical daisy cutter bomb for deployment. The bomb is being loaded onto a cargo plane, and there is a sense of urgency in the atmosphere. Inside the cargo plane, a close-up of the bomb bay doors opening mid-flight, revealing the dense Vietnamese jungle below. The bomb is released, descending slowly with a parachute, creating a contrast between its menacing size and the serene sky. A ground-level perspective from a Vietnamese village, where local civilians and Viet Cong fighters look up in confusion and fear as the parachute of the daisy cutter becomes visible above the treetops. The moment of impact. A massive explosion erupts, leveling a large section of the jungle. Trees are obliterated, and a giant mushroom cloud of smoke and debris rises into the air. The shockwave spreads out in concentric circles, uprooting trees and creating a massive clearing. Aftermath of the explosion. Aerial view of the newly created clearing in the jungle, with smoke and dust still lingering. The ground is scorched, and there are fragments of trees and destroyed vegetation scattered across the area. A group of U.S. soldiers landing by helicopter in the freshly cleared area. They are surveying the destruction, setting up camp, and discussing their next move. The soldiers are a mix of emotions, some are determined, others visibly shaken by the scale of the devastation. A close-up of a Viet Cong fighter emerging from a hidden tunnel entrance in the jungle, looking at the destruction caused by the daisy cutter. The fighter's face shows a mixture of anger and resolve. A meeting scene inside a Viet Cong hideout. Commanders discuss the impact of the daisy cutter bombings on their strategies, showing a mix of frustration and determination to adapt and resist further U.S. military actions. A Vietnamese civilian's perspective, focusing on a family displaced by the bombing. They are seen walking through the ruined jungle, searching for a new place to take shelter. The children are frightened, and the parents are trying to console them. An emotional scene in a field hospital where U.S. medics are tending to wounded soldiers, some of whom were injured by debris from the daisy cutter explosion. The atmosphere is tense, with a mixture of pain, fear, and a determination to survive. A depiction of the psychological impact on soldiers. A U.S. soldier is seen writing a letter home, expressing his conflicted feelings about the use of such devastating weapons and the toll it takes on both sides. A scene of Vietnamese farmers trying to rebuild their lives in the wake of the destruction. They are seen clearing debris and trying to plant new crops, their faces showing a mix of sorrow and resilience. A high-ranking U.S. military briefing, where commanders are discussing the strategic effectiveness of the daisy cutter in disrupting Viet Cong supply lines and forcing the enemy into open combat. A contrasting scene in a Vietnamese political meeting, where leaders discuss the international condemnation of the daisy cutter's use, debating its impact on global opinion and potential support for their cause. A flashback to the development of the daisy cutter, showing American engineers and scientists designing and testing the bomb in a remote desert location. There is a sense of innovation mixed with foreboding about its intended use. The final scene focuses on the long-term effects of the daisy cutter, with a modern-day view of a memorial site in Vietnam. Local people and tourists are seen paying their respects, with plaques and photos commemorating the victims of the bombing.